move because they're committed to J.J. McCarthy's development. So as of now, the Vikings are hitting the pause button here, but that doesn't mean they can't revisit a Rodgers scenario down the road, but they do want to clear the runway for McCarthy this spring to be the QB1, to go through offseason workouts as the guy, as he's recovered from his knee injury in that process. So they're committed to him, but certainly they could add a quarterback, maybe a veteran bridge, QB2 in the coming weeks. You have guys like Joe Flacco still out there, Jameis Winston. If something like that falls through and they need somebody in the summer and Rodgers for some reason doesn't sign anywhere and we know he's unpredictable, then maybe they could revisit that at that point.
That ended up saving him last year with Sam Darnold. When J.J. McCarthy went down with the injury, it was Darnold that catapulted the Vikings to the postseason, but they spent the first-round pick on him, Boog. So what does this decision tell you about the Vikings' confidence in McCarthy?
Well, I think if we go back to last offseason, they had confidence in him. He was going to be the starting quarterback, and then he tears the meniscus. In comes Sam Darnold, and away we go. I think, number one, they feel very good about his health and the knee. Number two, they've kind of strategized their philosophy from a GM standpoint and knowing that they're going to have a rookie quarterback that's going to be starting, meaning you can build your team around the rookie quarterback contract. And I think we've seen them be aggressive in free agency, signing Jonathan Allen to a big money deal, among other guys. And so I think their plan going forward is for him to be healthy, number one, and for two, for their cap purposes, they want to build around this rookie contract, and I think that's what you see them doing.
And no one does this anymore, but maybe the fact that McCarthy sat and watched a little NFL last year to learn the system, learn how to play, maybe that'll come up big this year, as it is technically now his rookie season. So we know the Vikings aren't considering Rodgers. We know the Giants and Steelers are still in the mix. Jeremy, what's the latest you're hearing from both of those teams?
Well, the Steelers appear right now to be willing to wait on Aaron Rodgers a little bit. Most people around the league believe that the Steelers will be the eventual favorite for Rodgers. Now, they did sign Mason Rudolph, a familiar face, pretty recently to a contingency plan, a little 2-year deal, but that at least gives them some cover should this fall through. They feel comfortable with him potentially starting games down the road if they have to. But make no mistake, the Vikings have to address quarterback in the draft. If they don't heavily pursue it this draft, they will do it next draft. They don't have a second-round pick because of DK Metcalf, so that's a bit of an issue because of that trade they pulled off. And then the Giants, you know, this could go a lot of different ways. I continue to hear that the Giants have basically scoured the earth for all quarterbacks. They've looked at every option thoroughly. They've had Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston in the building. They've had Russell Wilson in the building. I know that Wilson has considered the Giants a viable option for himself for a while now. The question is, will the Giants eventually pivot off Aaron Rodgers if they feel like he's not coming there, or they simply just don't want to wait a long time?
Yeah, Jerry, I do want to clear something up. You said the Vikings do need to address quarterback in the draft. You meant Steelers when talking about them and the DK Metcalf drafts or trade. So we know the Steelers, as you were talking about, need to address that position in the upcoming draft. And so, look, Steelers players are talking about Rodgers. The Steelers have a good roster put together. They seemingly need a quarterback. So should they go and get Aaron Rodgers?
You know, it's amazing, man, how we continue to look at Aaron Rodgers and think he's what he was several years ago. He's not. I just don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to A-Rod. I get it. The Steelers have DK Metcalf. Right now they also have George Pickens. They got a plethora of talent on the offensive side of the football. When you add in Freiermuth, they need somebody to throw the football. So the Steelers have no choice but to sit back and wait. I just wonder, though, again, are they willing to wait, and what are they looking for from Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be 42 years old, who's going to be a quarterback? We know what he used to be. I just don't know what he is now. And so I understand that name. He's a 4-time MVP. But if I'm the Steelers, I'm moving on to find somebody else besides Mason Rudolph to be my quarterback.
And, Bug, you know what I legitimately think it is with Rodgers? I think it's because we didn't see really anything out of him in New York. And people still believe because of that he's got some football left to play. But I'm with you. This is not Aaron Rodgers of yesteryear. This is Aaron Rodgers of right now. We'll see if it's good enough. Gentlemen, great stuff. Thank you. Quarterback prospects, you got Cam Ward on March 24th. Quinn Ewers, perhaps a little bit lost in this process out of Texas. Tyler Shuck, he's moving up draft boards. Will Howard, Jackson Dart, and then it all rounds out with the Colorado Showcase and Shedeur Sanders. Let's talk a little NFL drafts now. Back with our senior NFL writer, Jeremy Fowler. So Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe had his pro day today, made some nice throws, shows the arm strength. What are you hearing about Milroe's potential draft stock?
Well, Matt, he's considered a project in day 2 or day 3, but a very talented prospect. So talking to some scouts around the league this morning, they say, look, if you're willing to build your offense around him in a few years and let him sit for a year or two, this could be really rewarding in the ilk of a Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's Jackson, but that style of player where you have to utilize his running ability, which we saw at Alabama's Pro Day today with a great 40 time. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete with arm strength, but he did struggle mightily at the Senior Bowl. There are some things that he needs to work on behind the scenes. So somebody will be very tempted by him and take a flyer on him. And so the Steelers have had dinner with him. That's usually a good sign. The Steelers only have dinner with prospects typically that they are serious about looking at. They don't do that for some sort of smokescreen. So Pittsburgh could be one to watch if they don't draft a quarterback really high.
There you go. Look, it's about patience with Milroe. If you look at him, he passes the eye test top to bottom. But if you're willing to be patient with him, he's like you said, his raw prospect fit is going to be important there as we're now 36 days until the NFL draft. I want to empty your notebook on other top quarterback prospects. Let's start with Miami quarterback Cam Ward.
Well, Ward has certainly separated himself in the process as option one compared to the rest of the field over the last month, certainly. And the feeling around the league is that Tennessee will be leaning that way. If they haven't already, then eventually will be leaning toward Ward. They have not made a firm determination yet. I'm told the Titans are going through a very thorough process. But his interviews with Tennessee went well. He was able to identify mistakes, explain them. They feel like he can be coachable. Then you have Shedeur Sanders. So pegging where he's going to go in the draft has been really tough because it seems to be all over the board. But I do know the Browns have love for Shedeur Sanders internally, or at least they value the prospect. They see the positives. New York Giants certainly could be looking heavily at number 3 overall. Where he goes has been tough to predict because of the athleticism. Some teams are down on him a little bit, but they love the mental processing ability at the line of scrimmage and the way he plays with his mind. And then you have Jackson Dart. So yes, there's some first-round buzz on Jackson Dart. It seems to be growing in sort of the media circles out there. Talking to some scouts, though, they are skeptical that he's going to get there. Maybe he'll get pushed up because quarterbacks always do. He is a natural thrower. That's how he's considered. He's got some good traits, but a lot of teams are worried about some of the struggles he had late in games, in big games. The Florida game is an example. They felt like that might not translate, plus you're coming from a college-heavy system under Lane Kiffin. So there's certainly some question marks that he's going to have to identify.
In recent hours, the Minnesota Vikings have made it clear that their future at the quarterback position does not involve Aaron Rodgers. In an unexpected turn of events, the team has decided to trust in J.J. McCarthy, rejecting offers for the veteran quarterback. Today, we bring you all the details of this pivotal decision that could change the course of the franchise. Here's everything you need to know. ****. Before diving into the big news about Rodgers, it's important to highlight the current situation for the Vikings with McCarthy. Despite being a rookie, McCarthy has shown great potential during his time at Michigan, being considered one of the top prospects for the 2024 draft. The team has decided to place all its hopes in his development, making him a key piece in their long-term planning. How will this decision affect the Vikings' strategy for the upcoming seasons? The Minnesota Vikings have made a significant investment in J.J. McCarthy, selecting him as the 10th overall pick in the 2024 draft, which shows their confidence in him. Although he still needs further development, the young quarterback's potential is high. McCarthy, who excelled at Michigan, led his team to a national title, and the Vikings expect him to become a quality starter in the coming years. In fact, had he not suffered an injury during the preseason, McCarthy might have been their starter last season, which means the 2025 season will be crucial for his development. What do you think about the Vikings' decision to trust J.J. McCarthy as their starting quarterback instead of signing a veteran like Aaron Rodgers? Do you believe McCarthy can fill the big shoes of a competitive team? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to tell us what expectations you have for this young talent season. Now, let's move on to the big news shaking up the quarterback market. The Minnesota Vikings have made a key decision that changes expectations for the upcoming season. Although Rodgers was seen as an option, the team has taken a radical turn by rejecting him, leaving other teams scrambling for his attention. We'll give you all the details on what this means for Rodgers and the future of the Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have decided not to sign Aaron Rodgers, despite the 41-year-old quarterback showing interest in joining the team. Instead, the team chose to stick with J.J. McCarthy as their starter. This decision leaves the Vikings with a more uncertain future, but it also gives them the opportunity to develop their young quarterback. McCarthy, selected in the 2024 draft, comes with high expectations to prove he can be the team's leader for the long term, while Rodgers now faces an uncertain future, with the Pittsburgh Steelers and New York Giants as potential options. The Vikings' decision to reject Rodgers could have significant implications not only for the franchise but also for Rodgers himself. On one hand, Minnesota may have prioritized financial stability and McCarthy's long-term development, who has a higher ceiling as he matures in the league. On the other hand, the Vikings' refusal leaves Rodgers with fewer options to join a contending team, which could push him toward an early retirement. Additionally, this situation could change the perspectives of the Steelers and Giants, who now have to evaluate whether Rodgers is still the best option for their future. What do you think about the Vikings rejecting Aaron Rodgers in favor of trusting J.J. McCarthy as their starting quarterback? Do you think it's a smart move for the team's future, or do you believe they should have gone with Rodgers' experience? We'd love to know your opinion. Leave it below in the comments. And that's it for today's news. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on the Minnesota Vikings and other NFL news. Stay tuned for more exclusive content, and we'll see you in the next video with more breaking news. See you soon.